something. So what question would you like to pose to the actors now that you've seen their work and the diversity of their work?
Okay, I'll start.
Yes, I figured Helen would.
So I have quite a few questions, but I'll start with Jeff. The facial hair, was that a part of the
This is
hitman and the police?
No. It's, Has anybody seen Yellowstone?
Ah, yes.
So we have a Christmas party that is themed, and I've been told I'm going as Rip.
His work, his company.
So that's why, you know, the guy. So that's why I'm going.
And yet,
You couldn't just lie for tonight.
It was for tonight. I grew this morning.
You had that 70s vibe with the phone and the donuts, so I thought Jeff wants to do
and
the
he
70s
made it
stuff.
fit into his character.
Yeah,
so that's a
well
good
done.
thing.
Okay, and then I'll let someone else ask, but I have more questions.
Go ahead. You probably have the same questions they do. If not, I have.
I don't think so, but anyway. The playwright, Summer. So I was wondering, what was the inspiration for your contribution?
Rates on the Honda.
For my writing.
For your, yes.
Well, anyone who has ever owned a vehicle probably at some point has need to have it repaired.
We'll have a child too.
And it's high stress scenarios, and so I was just trying to take that scenario as a pressure add onto a rom-com. So in my mind, that was the opening scene to what would be a longer rom-com movie.
Right.
And then we'd follow Brad on his adventure to stop the wedding.
So it's the first part of an extended concept that you have.
The concept, yes. Is it written? No.
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 Well, we have to have a concept first.
We will see that in the next session, right?
Noted.
Thrilling conclusion.
I work well under pressure, yes.
This must continue.
We can work it out in improv.
There we go.
I have a question for Jennifer. Weren't you a little bit tempted of keeping that music going just a little bit longer?
Yes, I loved hearing you sing along with it too.
Oh, did you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jamming on the car, yeah.
And that was something that Jennifer, as an actor, added very late. I think she added it almost at dress.
Yeah,
And
that's
we were
right.
all like, hey, that really adds to the character, you know? And so things happen early, things happen late to develop your character. Yeah.
It seems very
Yeah,
authentic as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
If you ever
really
been
like
to a
that too.
mechanic, that's
And
what
Jennifer,
happens.
what did you have to do to prepare for that scene?
Mm. Good question.
I learned how to repair cars. Sunita did some makeup on me, and I bought this overall weeks ago, which I love. So yeah, just I really like this character, so it's really fun.
Very authentic.
Thank you.
Costuming does help the actor create authenticity. It really does.
Not only did Jennifer's outfit inspire other people in the class to buy the same coveralls from the same Target, but we won't say who. I kind of want to acknowledge Jeff did something tonight that he hasn't done before, which is his hair did a lot of work.
It's not only the facial, the actual head.
when he walked out with the greased back hair, I was like, oh
Yes.
shit, I'm in trouble.
I have a question for all actors that would like to answer. So I was wondering, how do you feel about either creating your character versus interacting with the other actor's character? How did it feel during the process of creation for both?
Mm. Mm.
Sunita should answer.
So, yeah, we did discuss a lot about the backgrounds of both the girls and what kind of homes they come from, what kind of parents they have, if they have siblings or not. We sat together and discussed all of that. Like I had something in mind, but Summer was on traveling like first 2 weeks, so she came in third week, and then we sat down. We were like discussing what are the girls' backgrounds, how are they going to grow up, and when you see that there's like a pregnant question mark, we even decided that she was not. So we answered a lot of questions to understand what's going on. So
You
that
built it
helps.
together.
Yeah, together.
That's awesome.
And you don't always, Bianca, so something, like Carrie had talked about how our scene was so bare bones in the beginning, and Jeff and I only started working on it a few weeks ago. And a lot of it's like improv, where if we come at it with different decisions, there's a way for us to play and feed off of each other in the moment. So there's room for both of us to have our characters without denying the other person's character work. So like them, they were able to build it together, whereas us, it was just, and then we just kind of did
Somehow
this
our
dance.
scene just worked, I mean, to me, like, we connected, and I think we did it a grand total of like 4 times.
Yeah.
Like, we hardly rehearsed at all.
Yeah.
I think it was the Darla.
Used to.
Well, Darla,
Yeah.
It was the fact that Jeff died in the end.
Now, let me mention that, in my opinion, part of that ease in taking nothing, and it was literally nothing, and making something out of it in a very short period of time, is because those actors, all 3 of them, have worked together for 8 years, okay? So there is something to being in an ensemble where you are trustful of your scene partners, you've worked together, you know each other. It just makes it easier to create than if it's a brand new person, huh?
I'm also very used to disappointed father figures. I'm not sure if that came out, but that really helps. He's right in.
It's a nice chemistry to see all of you on stage hit each other. It felt really nice to watch that. So congratulations to everyone. Really.
Can I ask a question of one of the actors?
Sure, actors can ask actors.
Bob.
Bob
How
is
did
new,
it
first
feel?
time.
This is his first time acting. How did it
Yay!
I thought you did great, by the way.
Stroke make me, it was fun. It was nerve-wracking at first, and I only had, 2 lines? Well, maybe a few more, but I would work it and work it and work it, and then we'd get together and I'd go blank. And so it was only the past couple days that I could, because I could sit at home and go over it, no problem. But when we were actually in the scene was I could relax and, put some feeling into it. And it was interesting. It was fun. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think you had a good first experience myself in natural performance.
Yeah. I think you really built that character.
Yeah.
They all start with nothing, and then you built it up into this really angry.
It's tough because Jeff is a very overwhelming actor to work with. So you did really well.
You did.
Thank you.
Marianne and David, I thought it was interesting because your scene was quite slow, and you did it so naturally. Because we live in a world where you have to fill everyone with conversation all the time, but you didn't have. Was that awkward in the beginning? How did the rehearsals go? Because you did really well now.
It was a little awkward, and Carrie told us right away from the beginning to slow down. And
okay, yeah.
Particularly, you can't go into it like you're doing a checklist. Like she says this, I say this. She says this, I say this. You have to really kind of listen to what the other person is saying and try and react. So,
yeah, you feel like you're leaving all these empty spaces, but we felt that scene was open to a lot of interpretation.
It was.
So,
it was.
And your question, working together with actors, I find initially when you get a scene with one or more partners, the first few times you're almost acting for yourself, you're saying your lines, and it's your piece, and then you hit a crossover point where you're interacting with your fellow actor, and then it becomes authentic. So you can almost feel when that happens, when it's no longer, okay, I said my line, he said his line, and then it comes together. So that just comes with practice, I guess, but it's a good feeling.
I'm still waiting for that to happen.
Oh, you did.
Marcia.
Actually,
Marcia is also a member of the ensemble, just not right now, but she's been with us many times.
Everyone did a great job. All of you did. I was going to also mention Marianne and David that it was very intense, and you know, to stay in that place and just be quiet and just do the body language and emotion. It was really good. I wanted to see the next part.
Yep.
So, just wanted to say that.
Then the actors did their job if you wanted to see what happened next.
We ate a lot of brown bread.
Brown bread. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, so they did, because it was a prop, they had to interact with that prop. There was no going away from it. They started very early with something. And then I think about 4 weeks in, the actual brown bread started appearing. Well, you see that there was involved of cutting it, there was involved eating it, there was involved brushing it, there was involved wrapping it. So if they had not used the actual prop, and I talk about this a lot, you've got to work with your hand props. You cannot wait to dress or worse, performance, to introduce a prop. They were teasing me earlier, one of the scenes, oh, well, Bob's gonna now do this, and he's gonna say that, and the exit's gonna be, no way, it's too late, you know, performance is too late to make those kind of changes, especially right before. Anyway, they had me going there for a minute. But one of the things that I also stress is working with your hand props, that sort of thing. What else? What else would you like to know? Yes?
I have a question for you.
Oh.
What's your process when you pick all these different, well, everything from, I guess, the depression and brown bread to gender reversal in terms of, you know, the mechanics? Right.
One of the things that most people don't realize as an acting teacher is that you are always reading material. So I'm going to secondhand bookstores all the time. I'm buying stuff. I'm just reading stuff, and I might find a piece. Oh, that could work. You know, in our minimalist sort of environment. Then I have to wait. Maybe I have 5, 6, 7 pieces. I think, oh, these could work, but will I have the people to make them work? And Marcia has been a recipient of that in the past, where she did a scene with an actor who's not here anymore, unfortunately, Tessa, where they had to do this neighbor interaction. You remember that, the garden? The garden. So it's frustrating for me because I have these great pieces. Then I have to wait to see who joins the ensemble for that session. And then I have to very quickly see if I can marry them. In other words, I'll use Marianne and David as the example. When I found that piece entitled Bread, I immediately thought this would be a great scene for Marianne and David. But I also said to myself, I know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to rush through. It's a very short script. And they're going to look at it and think, hey, he's giving me this really short script. I've been doing this for 8 years. I should have something more challenging than this. But once we discussed, I think after the very first time of running it, the first cold read, we talked about the timing and the tempo of that scene to get that result. And they immediately started working on that. So it's a little bit of a crapshoot, and it's a little bit of luck, and a lot of just reading and reading and reading and putting sticky notes in books and that kind of thing.
You're also open to suggestions because I gave you the day the internet died.
That's right. So,
nice.
Yeah, Jenny wanted to pick her own scene, which was great, you know, takes the pressure off of me. And she did find that scene on her own.
And then you decided who we should work on that one.
Right, once you gave me the scene and I read it and I knew who was in the class, then I kind of visualized who might work well together, who might blend well together. I tell you that a lot of acting students don't like that. They don't want to pick their own scene. They say, hey, I'm paying for this experience and you should be casting me. And that's perfectly legitimate. I don't have any problem with that. But if an individual actor wants to work on a particular scene, Dominic had said to me many years, I really want to work on Virginia Woolf. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Well, we never really got around to it, but then we did. Eventually, we pulled scenes from that, and it was dynamic. It worked very, very well. So it's really a combination of things. I wish I could say I have this great database and I just press in Rick's name and the perfect solution comes up, but it doesn't work that way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
This is a two-part question related to that.
Okay.
So the first part is, So I know Shruti, and I just wanted to know how you chose Shruti, how you cast her to play with, across from Jenny in that scene. And then the second part is for Shruti. Shruti, what did you channel to be that person in the scene? So first I want to hear how she was cast.
Okay, she was cast because I felt like in reading the scene that the energy level of Nina had to be high, and the energy level of Jenny, the character Jenny, needed to be a little bit lower, a little bit more laid back. And I felt, okay, we've got physicality here, and so I need to pair up, because Jenny wanted to do the scene. Did you cast yourself as Jenny?
You kept it open. I think we considered both.
Okay.
And
you chose
I was
that.
more inclined to I just felt like Shruti would be amazing in the scattered, like excited, like crazy, and she did amazing. Actress. And that was great. And I mean, we did consider the opposite, but I think this worked really well.
Yeah. And that's the way I envisioned it when I presented the scene the first night. And then I always like to give my actors maximum flexibility. You want to change it. In fact, the scene that was the bum scene was originally with somebody else, and Dominic and he were going to do something really avant-garde. Fine. If you want, these are risks that you're willing to take as an actor. And then things had to change because of dynamics that occurred. So that was my thinking why I picked them and put them together. And then they self-cast the way I wanted it done.
Okay, and then for Shruti, so I know you in real life, and I know that you're not necessarily posting on social media all the time.
Yeah, so when I got the script, I had no social media on my phone.
Yeah.
For those who know, they know that I switch off my phone like once a week, one day a
smart
week,
woman.
so that I don't have access to the internet. So I installed social media again.
Oh no!
And I did a lot
regression.
I did a lot of scrolling.
Research for your role. That's
You made
what
a lot
that
of duck
is.
faces.
No, I didn't post anything, but I did install social media and look at what people post, reels that people make. So maybe from tomorrow I can go back to being myself.
Yeah, detox. Go back and detox.
You look very natural taking the selfies. Really, I was surprised.
She pointed the right way.
Yes.
Sriram.
Are you sure you're not on social media?
Are you sure?
Like you said, you are a natural, when you're doing this.
Like she had done that many times.
Yeah. And by the way, great props. The idea was really good. Yeah. I almost secretly wish that we could turn off the social media for a couple of days and have those kind of things happening in real life.
Anything else? I have one thing I want to ask, and Helen, did we get all your questions?
I always have more questions, but I'm
But
good
that's all
for
right.
now.
Okay.
I'm good for now.
We talk a lot, and this is to everybody, we talk a lot in these Q&A sessions about how you arrived at where the product is. And we look at it and we say, oh, how did that? But I want you to talk about how did you begin? What was the beginning? Okay, you got the script the first night of class, and you did your cold read. That's the first time you read through the script. What is the beginning? What did you do as an actor to start, to jumpstart, to get started? What was the process you went through? Everybody just jump in, whatever.
I was in New Orleans at a conference, and the PDF came, and immediately you say fuck, because it's 10 pages long. My personal process is I like to handwrite the script, which sounds tedious, but it helps ingrain it in me faster. So a lot of it was handwriting it over and over and over again, probably the first 4 weeks, because I also was going to lose 2 rehearsals with Sunita. And I felt like I needed to be off book before she was off book to make her more comfortable. So I handwrite, and then I score the script. So
Her scoring is phenomenal.
scoring the script is when you basically make all these annotations. And so when I score the script the first time, it's looking for trigger words. So what is it that she says on her line that spurs my response? And so there's notes I use for that. And then the second time I go through is as I track what the character's emotion is in response to things. So I track how it changes through. And then we'll rehearse and I'll be like, fuck, I don't like it. So then I go back and erase and make the changes. But that's, and then probably the last 4 weeks, I finally make an audio recording so I can play it in my head with just her part and I can respond to it.
Some of the others, what was your beginning? Like, you were handed the script, you did the cold read, where did you go from there?
I can go. I'm the complete opposite of how organized she is. Mine goes nowhere for many weeks.
Okay.
I just read in class. And this time, thankfully, I was paired with someone who works at the same place. I still have my job. So
that worked out. Then.
Yeah, so I think the number of practices actually helped me rehearse. I mean, learn the script.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I didn't do that much due diligence.
Process is different for everybody. Jeff, how about you? I know you go through a process.
Well, I was in Europe when I got the script.
When people travel, they don't like to stay home.
What's that?
As soon as you got it, you said it.
Yeah, and it was so short, so it didn't take long.
Okay.
To get all the books.
See, you also said.
What's
Just
that?
kidding.
But then you've got a second character.
And then I got a second character, but that was still short. I mean, usually when I get a
But even if it's short, it doesn't matter.
I'm doing two things. I'm trying to get up, which depend, like you said, if you get a 15-page script or 10, then it takes longer. And then trying to develop a character. So when I always say this, it amazes me when you first get the script and you do the first cold read, there's nothing. It's like words, like a skeleton. And then it builds and the characters build. And like you mentioned, Bianca, your character and then your relationship with the other character, you get to know them. And then by the time we perform it, I literally feel like I'm there in an interrogation room or on a rooftop.
Marianne, everyone's commented on your scene. What was the process of your beginning? And David, you jump into your beginning to prepare for that character.
Well, it took a couple of reads to decide where it was going or what we wanted to do with it. But because it was short, I think that idea came together quickly. And then it was just a question of doing it. But one thing I think that helps is we help each other. So in the rehearsals, we watch each other's rehearsals and someone will say, well, maybe you should have a coffee pot on the table and you might look more like you're in an interrogation room, and little suggestions you get from other actors, or maybe if you came in from the other side, really help you develop the character. So other than, going over it, learning your lines, working with your partner, you get a lot of support from the rest of the group. So,
David, how about you? What was your beginning process?
I'll say you told us from the beginning this is different than the comedic ones I've done before. You have to go slow. And I guess the thing I picked up was that the husband has to kind of feel guilty feeding the bread. So I've tried to have that in the character. And then later on, things like him being worried about not having a job and being lethargic. Those are kind of the three kind of keys I tried to have before I started the scene.
Okay, that's good. So what you're hearing is that every actor, and this is true, every actor has a different process. My particular process when I was performing back in the Dark Ages was repetition. I had to do it over and over and over and over again with my scene partner or my the partners in the play or whatever I was doing. But my process would not necessarily work for Dominic. Dominic has his own process. And I feel very strongly that one of the things that an acting teacher can do to hurt or squelch the desire to perform and to act is to force their process on the actor. Marcia has her process. Sriram, when he's in the class, he has his process. Helen, when she's in the class, she had her process. It doesn't matter to me, as a teacher, what your individual process is, as long as it's unfolding. And all processes involve the same kind of things that you're hearing. Backstory. What happened before your character entered? Who is your character? What is your character's objective? What are you trying to achieve? All of these questions that an actor asks themselves. And I just want to mention that 9 weeks, actually it's only 8 weeks, because they don't have the script the first week. The first week I'm getting to know who I have, and Bob was new, so I wanted to see how he integrated before. The second week they get their scripts. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is dress, and 10 is performance. So it's really only 9 times. And the other mandate is that every week, every actor performs. It is maddening, or it is to me, I should say it is to me. It is maddening to be in an acting class and you go and you there and you don't perform. You sit and all you do is watch. Or you play warm-up games out of 2 hours out of 3. And so for me, I would walk away thinking, screw this, right? I want to learn to act. I can only do that if I act. So that is one of my basic tenets. Everybody performs every week. So sometimes we rush. We have to rush. I can't give as many notes because I have 8 pieces to get through or whatever. But this time, because we had a lower enrollment, it was better. We only had 6, and I could give notes. So it's really a pleasure. This is a great group of actors. All the ensemble members, past, present, future, they work very well together. I've been very pleased. I hope that we can continue. And unless there's something else you'd like to know from the actors, or the actors would like to say to the audience, let me thank you for coming out on such a terrible evening. I'm sorry about the gate.